ومن اتقى. Assalamu alaikum. Okay, we are here in the last few days of Ramadan. Okay? We have 2 more surahs to do. 2 more surahs. And I have to think about that because, you know.
And before you start the class, someone asked you a question.
No, I can't do that.
Recording.
No, I don't want you recording. Okay. You can record, no big deal. No. What was I saying? Oh, I decided just to give you guys 2 more surahs. The reason being is because of the time. Okay? And in order to do things quality over, quantity, right? And also because the next 2 surahs that are tied together, of course, is going to be Surah Al-Kawthar and Surah Al-A'raf. Okay? Now, I wanted to end with Surah Al-A'raf because of what Surah Al-A'raf has of meaning. It's very vital and important to really to understand and to contemplate over Surah Al-A'raf. So let's go Surah Al-Kawthar first, because this is, we've been doing the ones in the back, the ones in the front, the ones in the front, the ones in the back. So last time I started with Al-Kafirun and then went to An'am. Now we're going to go to Al-Kawthar and go to Al-A'raf. Before we do that, let's look at what we covered so far. All right? So we started off with, we did the last 2 surahs, right? We did Surah Al-Falaq and Nas, right? What did we learn for those 2 surahs? Quickly, guys.
The end
of the Quran. They're both du'as, right?
Right.
But they're different as du'as. What is Falaq teaching us? I mean, amongst the things it's teaching us, everybody should know by now, right? This should affect the way you recite the surah, right? قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ. Falaq is the crack of dawn, right? Then at the end of the day is, right? What is that one? مِنْ غَاسِقٍ إِذَا وَقَبْ. That's the haunted nature of the setting of the sun, right? So from the crack of dawn to the end of the day, we're seeking refuge from the min sharri ma khalaqa, from the evil that Allah created in general. And then what else are we learning? We're also seeking refuge in Allah from the evil of witches and warlocks and voodoo and that type of stuff. And we're seeking refuge in Allah from haters who've given us the evil eye and those types of things. So external attack is that dua. And the one here in Surah An-Nas, internal attack from shaitan and the devils of the humans and the devils amongst the genies. As they waswisu fi sudurin nas. We also learned from Surah An-Nas is that the first story Allah gives us in the Quran is our creation, right? The Surah Al-Baqarah. And in that, it tells us the story about why shaitan is so upset with us, right? He has so much of a big deal. Right? Did we go over that? How when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala begins in the story, and he says, وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. I'm making in the earth a khalifa. And they said, why are you going to do that? If somebody's going to spill blood, cause mischief and corruption? What are they talking about? The jinn that were on the earth who did that. And who went and cleaned that up? Iblis. And when he was down there fighting or destroying the problem, Allah created Adam, his body. And when he comes back to Jannah, what does he see?
Adam laying there.
What does he do?
Goes inside.
He goes in, he inspects it. He says, this thing's hollow. Why did Allah create this? He starts to feel away because Allah's creating a new creation, And then when he found out he's going to be Khalifa after all that work I did, right? And he said, I'm never going to be submitting to this thing. I'm never going to salute this thing. I'm never going to show this thing any respect. And that begins the hasad, the hatred, and the jealousy from that moment up until now. And it's going to continue. It's not going to stop. And we learn, so that's the first story we're told. And the last thing we're told is a description on how he attacks us. Okay? And it comes in key places in the Quran. So, what else did we learn? We learned Al-Fatiha. What is Al-Fatiha?
Ask for guidance.
Come on, guys. This stuff should be second imagination now? It's a dua. We start off with a dua, right? And the dua is teaching us how to ask for guidance. And we're seeking refuge in Allah in Surah An-Nas from all three forms of Tawheed, right? Utilizing all. And here we're acknowledging all three forms of Tawheed. In fact, 4 angles of it. Ubudiyya and Uluhiyya are given in the first one, right? And then sometimes people talk about different ones. So we learn from Baqarah. What do we learn in Baqarah?
The route to guidance.
The what?
The route to guidance.
The route to guidance. Step-by-step approach to receiving guidance, right? Things we have to understand before we get guidance. The stories, and then we get the guidance, right? What comes next? Ali Imran. What do we learn in Ali Imran?
Firmness in that guidance.
That we have to be firm and how to be firm on that guidance, right? All right. Now, moving right along after that, what else do we learn? What's the next surah? Surah An-Nisa. What do we learn in Surah An-Nisa? Justice. Al-Adl wal-Qisṭ, right? That's what we have to have in order to do what?
To establish a family.
Build a family, and the family is the basis of what? Society. So in this surah, we're also learning what?
Right.
Our roles in society. Because roles explain also rights. Rights and roles go hand in hand. Okay? Your role is your obligation, which is someone else's right. Does that make sense, everybody?
Yes.
All right. So, after Nisa, we learned the story about Abu Lahab, right?
Yes.
What is that sort of about?
When the family goes against the guidance.
Okay, so here we learn to unite as a couple, right? And that the two pillars of the family are the husband and wife, right? The mother and the father. And here they united, the husband and wife united, but they united on what? On evil, on dolala, and falsehood. And look what happened to them. Look at the despicable end that they had. What other surah did we learn? After Nisa, we went to Al-Ma'idah, right? And what did we learn in Al-Ma'idah? Keep your contracts, right? What's the terms that we hear in this surah more than anything else? Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. How many times?
16.
Oh, you who believe. 16 times. Over and over. First one is keep awfu bil uqud. Fulfill your promises, your contracts, the things that you made, your words, your oaths. And then the second to the last one is, oh, you who believe. Focus on yourself. Right? It's not going to harm you if everybody else breaks their word, as long as you stay on the guidance. That's what Allah's telling us. If they may break their word, everybody may break their words, but you keep yours. That's all you got to worry about. And the 16th one is, oh, you believe when it's time for death. And he tells us what to do at the time of death. Okay? So that's very interesting. What are we learning, though? Keeping our promise. What's to come on the other side? Come on. Nasrullah. Yansuru man yasha. What's the connection between Nasrullah and Ma'idah? The last story that we have in Ma'idah is the story of Isa ibn Maryam. This surah should be righteously called the Last Supper, right? Because it has a story that talks about that. So what does that story have to do with keeping your promise?
Because
Louder.
The disciples asked for a sign.
The disciples asked for a sign. Right. So what?
And they received the sign.
Oh, and they received the sign. So what?
They didn't worship. They didn't keep their promise.
No, that's not what the story says.
You keep your oath, you get Jannah.
Oh, yeah.
What's the story have to do with it, though? The story, guys, go ahead, Ismail. Not wise. Come on. The story has to do with this. It's just like he said. He said that, look, you know, they asked for a sign, right? They want a sign to prove. Allah gave them a sign. But then he told them, it's a condition. Now that you've seen this sign and you've acknowledged this miracle, if you disobey now, if you break your word now, if you don't hold your side of it now, I'm going to punish you with a type of punishment that I never punished anybody ever in the whole creation.
And that's what the sign was, the people coming into the deen.
No, that's not the connection. The connection is this. Oh, afterwards, we're told that, what does Allah say? Allah's telling us this because he says, all the messengers he sent, right? Today, He's going to say whoever fulfilled their promise is going to benefit them. Whoever fulfilled their promise and kept their word, today their word, that will benefit them. The Sadiqina will get the benefit of their sidqihim. Okay? And the prophets are going to be asked, Mada ujibtu. What was the response you got? What did they say to you? When you said what? Sami'na wa ata'na. We said that in Surah Al-Baqarah, right? And we accepted the guidance.
Right.
So that's it. And Nasr is the result of keeping your word.
Yeah.
You get the help of Allah when you fulfill your promise. Okay? When you break your word, some of the ulama have said that the universe or the whole creation is in obedience with Allah, right?
Yes.
The only ones that have choice is us and the genies, right? When we do things to make Allah love us, obeying Allah, following the Sharia, and Allah says, I love so and so. May Allah love us all. And then Jibreel says, Allah loves him, I love him, everybody in Jannah love him, and the people in the denizens, I don't call them people, the creatures in Jannah love that person. And that love descends on the earth, right? And it goes even to the pits of the sea, where all the animals in the sea and the ocean love that human. And the animals in the ocean are more than the people on the planet. Okay? So all those animals are making dua for us. And we get what we call tawfiq. I call it like you drive and all the lights turn green. You go to the place, there's a big line, they just turn the other way, you walk to the front. You know, everything starts going your way. But things are made clear by its opposite. When Allah doesn't love a person, when Allah hates them, the people in Jannah hate. And that hate descends too. And then all types of problems come to that individual. Or Allah says He gives them everything. Why? That's nothing coming. وَمَا لَهُ فِي الْآخِرَةِ مِنْ خَلَاقٍ. Nothing coming in the next world. Does that make sense, guys? So, Nasrullah, and the Sahaba used to say, we disobey Allah and we notice the disobedience, the consequence of our disobedience in our family relationships, in our children, in our riding beasts, you know, in all our affairs. Nasrullah, the help of Allah comes when we obey Allah. And it opens up to fath. It's the consequence. Once we get the Nasrullah, it leads to fath. The fath is what? Getting into Jannah, inshallah. Fath al-Bab al-Jannah. And what should we do when we get success? That's what we learn here. What should we do when we get the success from Allah?
Seek forgiveness.
Seek forgiveness. Ask first, sabbih hisma. We glorify with the subhanallah, alhamdulillah, wa istighfar. Lots of istighfar. And that only comes when we recognize that the help is coming from Allah. Okay? All right, what's the next surah? After Al-Ma'idah. An'am. We said Al-An'am. What did we learn in Surah Al-An'am?
Comprehensive, detailed Aqidah.
Al-Aqidah, right? What did we learn? Just
It's
read.
also about the Qadr.
Yeah.
All right, well, Aqidah is Qadr.
No doubt.
Okay, but it's true that you want to say it because I don't want to just hear the word Aqidah.
Right.
You know, first of all, what does Aqidah mean? What do we find you?
It means to tie.
Okay, so you guys buy into that? Because you see all of that sort of what is Allah telling us to do? Look,
right.
See.
Right.
You know, say all the time too, right? Say this, make this your stance. That's your Aqidah, right? This is your stance, is what you believe, right? See it this way. وَلَوْ تَرَى إِذْ وُقِفُوا عَلَىٰ رَبِّهِمْ. If you could only see them when they have to stand before their Lord, right? Or عَلَىٰ النَّارِ. Okay? Nuriya, we show you. Malakut as-samawat, when he showed Ibrahim. The treasures of the universe, right? In the sky. So they could be amongst the muqinin. So we learn how to be certainty in this surah, right? And of course the power, the qudra of Allah. And Allah tells us, وَمَا قَدَرُوا اللَّهَ حَقَّ قَدْرٍ. Allah says, you have not given Allah the right amount of respect. You have not, measured him well or I can't find the word for it in English. When it says, guys, help me out here.
I can't help you.
You don't really understand who you're dealing with right here.
No clue.
You haven't given him the respect that he's due. You haven't measured the grandeur that he is due. And what you know is just still not enough. Say again?
The estimation.
Yeah, right. You have not estimated him properly. Okay? And this is what we learn in very sober pictures about how the hisab is going to, how the account is going to be taken. Right? What people are actually going to say. You know? Wallahi Rabbina ma kunna mushrikeen. Wallahi, send us back. Right? We believe now. And we're amongst the muqineen. We won't turn back. Nah, they're liars. No, that can't be born. Allah says, no, they're just a bunch of liars. If they turn back, they're going to do the same thing they did before. Even after seeing the fire. And so we get told the connection is with Surah Al-Kafirun. What is in Surah Al-Kafirun? Al-Ikhlas. Al-Bara. We have Wala wal-Bara, right? Al-Bara. We're freeing ourselves from the kuffar, right? We're declaring clearly in the first part of the day, y'all don't worship what we worship, and I am not worshiping what you worship, the way you worship, right? And I'm not capable of worshiping the way you worship. I be doing my abatum. And y'all can't do what we're doing because we do it in the Sharia. Our life, our death, right? Our nusuk, our salah. All of it is lillahi rabbil alameen. La sharika lah. Right? All of these things are part of our ibadah when those things are not part of their ibadah. There's a separation in their mindset. So now, we stop for a second and we go back over here and we said there's a connection with Surah Al-Asr. What happens in Surah Al-Asr? What do we learn in Surah Al-Asr? Surah Al-Asr tells us what? No, say again. That's what it says, but that's not what we learned from there. What have we learned? That people are in a state of loss, right? And what else do we learn? The exceptions to the rule. That there's 4 qualities that people have that will be accepted. But we don't learn why they're in loss there, do we? We learn that in the next surah. What's the next surah? Come on, Al-Humazah. Al-Humazah. And what do we learn in Surah Al-Humazah? One of the reasons why we're in a state of loss. What is that reason? الذي جمع مالا وعدده يحسب أن ماله أخلده. The person who takes his money, like they see on the internet all the time, the guys take their money and count their money and making stats and saying, I got money. That's what Allah is describing. And thinking that his money makes him invincible, right? So that's what Humazah's talking about. He thinks his money made him invincible. Akhladahu.
Big man.
Right. And so this is the fitna of wealth. And because of this, he's in a state of loss. Get to my point? What's the next surah? What is that surah about? I can't hear. The fitna of jah, leadership. It's not just leadership. I shouldn't. Every time I said that, I kind of cringed because I was kind of making it small for you. It's jah. Jah is like, position and name. You get my point? Honor, shut up. Help me with some words, brother.
Position.
Yeah, it's like, what did he want? He wanted to be in charge, status. He wanted to run things. Okay? And he thought that his might, his authority that he got from the Najashi, the emperor of Ethiopia, nobody could challenge him. He was, when the Najashi sent his 2 generals to Yemen, you have to remember, Persia, which is Iran, was the backing up Yemen at that time, like they still are today. Right?
Yeah.
They were the Yemen, Dhul Nawaz was the Amir, the puppet governor for Iran. And the Najashi drowned him. Showed him, we don't care who got your back. And Iran did not come to their aid. And there's reasons behind that when we get into, the history of it, So, alhamdulillah, I'll tell you just this point about it. I don't want to get too much into it because we don't have the time. One of the reasons was, we have this word in the English language called maniac, right? Maniac or manic, right? Maniac, manic. This is the name of the man in Persia who was giving them fitna at this time, okay? And maniac or manic at that time, he had changed the way they worshipped. And one of the things he did, he made that they were making their wives, halal to everybody. He was trying to put this thing forth, we all one people type thing. And so normally the Yemenis were following their religion, but when they went to this part, the Yemenis were like, nah, we're not riding you. No, because at least alhamdulillah, the Arabs had that still with them, that they didn't share their wives. So there was the little hesitation on their part because they didn't want to lose their backing, but when they did hesitate, then they said, we're not going to back you when Najashi came there and drowned them. You get my point? All this stuff was happening and it led to a revolt from the Arabs fighting Yemen and all. If you read the Mu'allaqat al-Sab'a, it deals with this whole dynamic of the politics that were happening there because the other tribes were being backed by the Romans. Okay? And so they were trying to get them to stop being the slaves for these external powers, and the puppets for them. And there were two different sides, and how it all plays out in the end is when the Prophet comes, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and unites them as their own ummah. Okay? And checks both sides in this regard. But it all starts there. Okay? So alhamdulillah. But I don't want to, we're just doing basic tafsir here, right? Well, basic, thematic approach. When we do the tafsir, we would have to start with Surah Al-Buruj, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Right? Because then Surah Al-Buruj starts Surah Al-Fil. Everybody knows that? In the story of Surah Al-Sama'i Dhat Al-Buruj, وَالْيَوْمِ الْمَوْعُودِ وَشَاهِدٍ وَمَشْهُودٍ قُتِلَ أَصْحَابُ الْأُخْدُودِ. Right? So, by the sky with all the constellations, right? By the day that was appointed, meaning that we made an appointment to meet. By the witnesses and what they witnessed, the people of the ditch were murdered. And it's the story about the boy who was picked to learn magic. But at the same time, he started learning about the deen. And when he finally accepted the deen and started to teach people that one dua, Allahumma kfini bima shit. Oh Allah, save me any way you like. And he learned this dua, and the people started to learn it and everything like that. Dhul Nuwas tried to kill him. The only way he could kill him was the boy said, look, I don't want to tell you the story. But because, the story is real beautiful and it connects right to Surah Al-Fil. Okay? It is a wonderful story. It goes one right to the other. And I'm afraid if I tell you, I won't have any time. But it's a beautiful story. It is a little bit lengthy. Just the brief of it is this. The boy, he walks by a cave and he hears a man making dua. Now, let's go back further. We have to go before Dhul Nuwas and go to his father, Tab bin Asad. Tab bin Asad was a warrior. He was a warrior king who went around destroying towns. That's what he did for wreck. And he ran up on, he was from Yemen. He ran up on Medina or Yathrib at that time, and he found the Jews there. And they said, don't destroy us because we are Jews. We're waiting for a prophet to come, the last prophet to come, and he's supposed to come in this area. They so convinced him, he became a Jew. He accepted Judaism. Okay? And so he left. He said, give me some Jews to teach me. He got about 3 Jews, scholars, to go with him to teach him about Judaism. He rides on, comes upon Mecca. He said, well, I'll destroy this town instead. They said, don't do it. This is a sacred town too. In fact, there's a house in there, a sacred house of Ibrahim and Ismail. You should go and make tawaf around it. He said, okay, if that's the case, why don't y'all do it? He said, because we're known Jews. It's going to mess up our rep. If we do it, they Jews, they know the truth. But this is the thing about the Jews, right? Allah speaks about it in Surah Al-Fatiha. No. You know, but you don't do. This is the extreme, whereas the other side is not knowing, but you act without knowledge. We're supposed to be in the middle, okay? We don't act on things we don't know. We act on where we know, and we stop where we don't know. So he goes in and he makes tawaf. He's so awestruck by the Kaaba, right? Hey, boy, come over here. He's so awestruck by the Kaaba, what he does is beautiful building cannot go about naked because he's jahil too, okay? Ignorant. I got to dress this building up. And he is the first one to sew the cloth and make the cloth. He doesn't do it himself. He pays for it, and he covers the Kaaba with the cloth that we're still covering with it today. Every year he would send a new cloth to cover the Kaaba. And so the Jews started that tradition. Did everybody get that? And then, as time went on, the believers, the Muslims, we took over the job of doing that. And still today, we're covering the Kaaba. So he goes back to Yemen, establishes his kingdom, and he teaches about Judaism. When he dies, his toe-up son, Dhul Nuwas, says, I'm tired of hearing about Allah. And if anybody mentions Allah, I'm killing them. I'll make it illegal. He hunted down the priests and killed them, right? Anybody, the old people that wouldn't give up saying Allah, they killed them, okay? So now years go by, years and years go by, and nobody's saying Allah. He's got his little punk priest with him, which is a voodoo man. And he's helping them, tricking the people with magic and stuff like that. And that's how he's doing. But he gets old, and he says, listen, I need a young boy to teach so that he can take over and be the next voodoo man. Okay? So they make a contest and they get the smartest boy in town. He's about 10 years old. And they start teaching him voodoo. But on his first day, he runs into a man in a cave praying, saying Allah. And he says, do you mean Voodoo Nuwas? Who is Allah? I never heard that one before. And he says, no, Allah is Rabbul Alameen. Rabbul Samawati. Man, subhanallah. I didn't know that it existed like that. And he starts telling him about the names of Allah. You know, we take that for granted, right? Because we hear them. Just imagine not hearing them and then hearing them. And so he goes to work. He said, what am I going to tell him when I get there? If I'm going to be late, he said, tell him your family held you up. And when you come back, I'll teach you some more. He goes, and now he's got something in his heart, in his head, about Islam, some iman in it, and he starts learning magic. He comes back, he learns more from the priest, he said, from the old man in the cave, and he tells him, what do I tell my family if I get there late? Tell them that the voodoo man held you up. Ain't nobody going to ask. They ain't got phones, right? So he goes and he tells his family that, and every day he's learning more about deen. One day, he's hayran, he's like confused. Which one is true? Is the magic true or is the deen true? So there's a big old animal that blocks up the road. He takes a rock, and this shows that he had in his heart that iman was from Allah. He said, in the name of Allah, the Lord of the man in the cave. And he throws the rock, a little rock, and he hits this big old rhino, and it kills it. And saves the people from the rhino blocking the road. So, you know, a rock can't kill a rhino, okay? And the people didn't think nothing of it. Why? Because he's the witch man's apprentice. Of course he did something crazy like that, right? They're thinking he did it with magic. So the voodoo man's really good. Yo, my man, you're doing good. You're giving me props and everything like that. And so as time goes, the boy now is totally convinced about Allah. And now he's just going, and now everything he's learning from the voodoo man, he sees that this is fake, and this is fake. He starts giving da'wah to people, teaching them how to pray to Allah. Yeah. He only knows this dua. Well, we don't know what he only knows, but the main dua that he always uses is Allahumma kfini bima shit. Save me, be sufficient for me in any way you want. Okay? And people are making dua. The word gets out. There's a priest, not a priest, there's a governor in the castle. Old man. He comes and he says, man, I've got something in my eye. I can't see too good. Maybe it's pink eye. I always thought it was pink eye because his eye's messed up. And the king, Dhul Nuwas, says, oh, well, let me cure you by the power that I have. Ishfika. And he spits in his eye. The man goes blind. Okay? Loses sight in both eyes. So he hears about the boy. He goes to the boy at night times. He says, listen, I'll give you a whole bunch of money. I got power. I'll protect you. Cure me. I'm blind. And he says, well, I can't cure you. He says, come on, man. I know you're doing that. I'm not going to get you in trouble. Just listen, I just want to get cured. He said, I don't cure nobody. Then who's curing people? Allah. The old man's like, oh, he said Allah. Because he knows Allah. He's in the government. He says, all you got to do is believe in Allah and ask Allah sincerely, and Allah will cure you. So the man, he makes a decision. He says, I believe in you, Allah, and he makes dua. And if they make a dua, Allah cures him. So he comes back to the court the next day. Now he's a governor. He's got access to the king. And he comes and he's doing the George Jefferson. You know, he comes in there, and the king says, oh, I cured you. Mashallah, not mashallah, but and, he's thinking he did something great. He says, no, you didn't cure me. He said, no, who cured you? Allah cured me. Allah? You crazy? What's wrong with you? And he says, no, Allah cured me. They capture him, they beat him, they torture him, and he tells them the boy told him. They go get the boy. He said, oh, look, boy, where'd you get this stuff from? Oh, come on, you can tell us. Oh, I got it from a man in the woods I found out there. He was telling me all about it. Oh, yeah, which woods? Okay. And here's a boy. He doesn't know better. They go and get the old man. They've been looking for him. He was a priest, amongst the priests they were trying to kill in the first place. So they kill him. But before they kill him, the boy realizes his mistake. He realizes that, this is something great here. They're trying to stop this, that the name of Allah get out. And so he's determined now to teach openly about Allah. He does so. But then they take him and say, listen, we wanted you to stop. They go get the voodoo man and say, hey, your voodoo man curing eyes and stuff like that. And they try to kill him. They take him on a mountain. The mountain shakes. The boy makes dua. Allahumma kfini bima shik. Oh, Allah, save me any way you can. Everybody falls off the mountain except the boy. Now everybody's watching. Remember, there ain't no TV. Ain't no video that you can send. You got to come out and watch it happen. And so everybody comes to watch, and they see everybody else falling. The boy, now he's a smart aleck. He comes back to the king's court. Hey, the people, they jumped off the mountain. But I'm still here. I'll keep you company, right? The king says, grabs him, puts him on a ship. People come out to the beach to watch. He's going to drown him. Now, you got to imagine what the people are seeing. They're seeing a big wave come and slap the ship down. They see the ocean open up and smash the ship. They're thinking this is Dhul Nuwas and his power and his magician killing everybody on board just to kill the boy. You get the point? But then the next thing happens, only the boy comes back. The boy washes up the shore just wet. Nothing ain't wrong with him. Everybody else is gone. Dead. So he gives a real motivating lecture, jubilee, on the beach right there. And people start believing more and more in the Lord of the boy. Now he goes back to the king. And he says, I know you want to kill me. All you got to do is say, Bismillah, Lord of the boy, and you can kill me. Just make sure you get everybody there. Everybody can see. They make an appointed day. The boy shows up. He says, Bismillah, and he tries to shoot the boy. The arrow goes up, Now you got to say it loud. He says it loud. Bismillah, Lord of the boy. He shoots him. The boy unceremoniously dies. Just like that. But what happens next, all the people that was witness said, Amanna, we believe. Billahi. Rabbal walad. We believe in Allah, the Lord of the boy. Now that was not what the Nawas wanted to hear. He said, don't let nobody get away. Get him! Surrounded everybody with his army. They dug ditches, set fire in those ditches, and told him, you got a choice. You either give up that religion or jump in the fire. So the people started jumping in the fire. And Allah says, وَمَا نَقَمُوا مِنْهُمُ إِلَّا أَنْ يُؤْمِنُوا بِاللَّهِ الْعَزِيزِ الْحَمِيدِ. And then they have nothing against them except that they believed in Allah, Azizul Hamid, mighty and full of worthy of all praise. One lady, and there's 3 incidences where a child spoke from the grave, from the cradle. Isa ibn Maryam, the priest Jurej, when the prostitute had a baby, and this baby right here. The baby, the woman didn't want to jump in with her baby, and the baby said, oh, Mama, you right, jump. She jumped in the fire. One man got away, murdered all these people. One man got away, he ran, he jumped on a horse, and he rode all the way to the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire is on the northern, western side of the Arabian Peninsula, Byzantine, okay? Now, Byzantine, I know on TV, they always show the Romans to be so big and bad, but when Byzantine, they were Christians. They said, man, we can't help you. We can't deal with Yemen and the Persians. Now, no, we can't do nothing for you. We're not strong enough. Okay? But what you can do, we'll write a royal decree. We'll write a royal letter to the Najashi in Ethiopia. He can handle it. Okay? He's got that great empire, that army. Can't nobody fade him. So we see who were the world powers at that time. Okay? So he sends a letter to the Najashi. The Najashi says, what? They're killing Christians? He sends 2 generals. One's name is Gulat. The other one name is Abraha. He sends them to Yemen with a whole bunch of troops. They invade Yemen. They drown Dhun Nuwas. Okay? That's what you do. They go there. And some say that he was running away and he drowned. Others say they caught him and they drowned him. Like a dog. Okay? Persia didn't blink. Didn't do nothing. If you see, what do you call it? Zanzibar became the capital of Oman for hundreds of years after that. Right? Zanzibar in Tanzania was the capital of Oman, all the way in northern Arabia for hundreds of years. And you still see the effect on the people there. Okay? And then the Ethiopian Somali people ruled Yemen. And still today, the major minority of people in Yemen are the Ethiopian and the Somali people. Now, Gulat and Abraha got in a fight. They said, listen, I want to be in charge here. No, I want to be in charge here. So they said, instead of us making our troops fight, let's me and you do a one-on-one. Okay? So Abraha said, yeah, I'm down with that. Then he told his man, if I start losing, kill him. Jump in. That's Abraha. So they start fighting, and Gulat chops his nose off. Chops Abraha's nose off. Later on, he gets a golden nose. He makes a golden nose and ties it on like glasses. Puts it on like the Humpty Dumpty thing. He uses gold because, you can breathe with that. Gold and silver, it's not going to get infected. So he puts that gold nose on. But as he gets jumped and he gets his nose cut off, his man jumps in and stabs up Gulat. Now, there's no other general that's on the same level as Gulat and Abraha. So even though the people don't like it, he's the last survivor, right? So he's in charge. Now, the Najashi says, what? I sent you fools up there to go kill Abraha, Dhun Nuwas, and y'all are fighting each other? I'm going to chop your head off. So what Abraha does, he cuts his forelock. He cuts his forelock off and some of his skin too. He puts it in a nice big old jar filled with dirt from Yemen. And he gets a lot of the gold from Sheba and that whole area over there, and he sends it to him, says, you fulfilled your oath. Okay? I'm your slave. If you want, I'll send the rest of the head with it. I'm your slave. I know I did wrong, but take this money, and guess what? Just give me some time. I'll build a big church for you in your name, right? On your behalf. And you got all this dirt. This land is yours. I subjugated them for you. So, of course, the king, the emperor is like, yo, that's tax money, right? And then you ain't showing no rebellion, so I don't got to send more troops over there to stop you, You sending this money? Okay, build the church. You got it this time. So he starts building the church. Beautiful church. Gold is supposed to be this really nice church. And he's saying to himself and to the people, look, we're going to get them Arabs from, going to the Kaaba over there. They'll be coming here. But the Arabs, they don't like that. They don't even like him because he invaded them. He's an invading force, right? And they're desert Bedouins, and they ain't Christians anyway. They're pagans. So what do? Right when they're about to have the grand opening, one of the Bedouins, he goes in there and he takes a defecation in the brand new, golden, nice place, craps all over the place, and wipes it all over the walls. Okay? Defiles the place. Now, our people, and the Yemeni people just like that, what they start doing? They said, oh, now the big name of the church, this beautiful church, is now called the what church?
Doo-doo church.
That's right. It's the doo-doo church. Okay? And everybody's laughing. They only want to go to church to see which wall he did it on. Right? Their church ain't got no more respect, no more glory, no more honor, right? And that becomes the thing. So Abraham says, oh yeah, they're going to do that to my spot? I'm going to do it to their spot. I'm going to show them. I'm going to bring elephants. And he brings, like, they say 25 elephants from Ethiopia. I'm going to crush the cow. And then he tells them, look, I'm not going to hurt nobody. Y'all ain't hurt nobody? I'm not going to hurt nobody. Just don't get in my way. I'm going to crush your spot like y'all crushed my spot. Like y'all messed my, and they said that sometimes one of the Arabs was burning a fire and it burnt part of the wall. It didn't burn the place down, but it burnt part, made it look bad. So he said, I'm going to crush the whole place down. And that's how Surah Al-Fil starts, right? See how you see if we go from Buruj to Fil. The whole Quran is giving us world history at the same time. We learn about Maniac, okay? We learn about the connection between Yemen and Persia, between the Byzantine Empire and their lack of power, about how Oman became under the power of Zanzibar, and how Ethiopia started to rule Yemen. And all this was happening at that time. Okay? And we get Surah Al-Fil. But what is Surah Al-Fil? What we just did now is Tafseer. Now what's the Tadabbur? The Tadabbur is someone who had military might and thought that his jah, his position, his authority made him invincible. Who could stand before him? The great Ethiopian army at that time. Get my point? Great man force. I always laugh when they say, oh, the Chinese are so many. You know why they don't? The only reason why they say Chinese people are more than any other people? Because when they count Africans, they don't count us as Africans. They try to divide it. There ain't no. How many children do Chinese people have? One or two.
One or two, yeah.
What's the average African family have? Enough said. Okay? Ain't no more than us on the planet. You get my point? It's just that through racism, they divide it so that they can't show us as a one. But China was 5 countries before they united as that one country. And there's still 5 different ethnic groups. Okay? Some of them don't even communicate with each other. It's Cantonese and Mandarin. It's 2 different. And then, they have the other one. There's another one that begins with an M that they speak as well. And they don't even speak. It's not Manchurian. No, it's a different one. It's a different one. I can't remember it. It's still one of the top 10 spoken languages in the world because there's so many people that speak it. No, it's not Mandarin. If you Google it, they say the top 10 languages in the world. Most spoken languages in the world. You'll find it. Okay? Inshallah. So we have Fil. And this is the second reason why we're in a state of loss from Surah Al-Asr. Okay? Now, after Fil, what comes next? Quraysh. Quraysh is considered the same surah as Surah Al-Fil. What's the last line in Surah Al-Fil? فَجَعَلَهُمْ كَعَصْفٍ مَأْكُولٍ لِإِلَافِ قُرَيْشٍ. You get the point? He made them, because remember, the people, Ashab al-Fil were Christians. The people in Mecca were pagans. Why did Allah save the pagans from the Christians? When they were doing all this crazy stuff. لِإِلَافِ قُرَيْشٍ, in order to keep the Quraysh in place. Okay? And what happens? What does it say? فَلْيَعْبُدُوا رَبَّ هَذَا الْبَيْتِ. And feel he's coming to destroy that bait. And Quraysh are told to worship the Lord of that bait. You see the connection?
Muhammad was born in that year.
The Prophet ﷺ was born in that year, of course. And he's from what tribe? Quraysh. You see the connection? So that's the other part too. And plus, in Surah Al-Quraysh, you're also taught that by worshiping the Lord in the house, you're being grateful, right? And that gratitude is because of these 2 things, right? What were the 2 problems? The wealth, the fitna of wealth, and the fitna of job. But that leadership was going to come with bad government, is the point, right? So Allah says, الَّذِي أَطْعَمَهُم مِّن جُوعٍ, made them satiating from hunger. So that's the fitna of wealth, right? Because why do people want wealth? Because they're scared they're not going to eat. وَآمَنَهُم مِّن, made them safe from the fear of being invaded, having bad government over them. You guys get that point? That's just the connection between all these surahs right here. And then we go to Ma'un. What do we learn in Ma'un? Ma'un is teaching us that we have to divide our religion up, our deen up, into 2 types of service. Service for Allah and service for humanity. And if you don't do service for humanity, you're a liar. You're perpetrating a fraud. You're pretending you got deen, but you don't got no deen. أَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِي يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ. He lies and says he got deen. Or he's calling the deen a lie. فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي. They don't care nothing about the orphan. وَلَا يَحُضُّ عَلَى. He don't try to talk about feeding no poor. He don't want to encourage it. He don't do it. You get the point? He don't care about nobody. He's bakhil. He's stingy. It's all about himself. Then the next one is the hypocrites. فَوَيْلٌ لِلْ. The person who prays. Now his ibadah is what? الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ. They're lazy about their salah. الَّذِينَ هُمْ. They only pray when they're going to be seen. I'm praying before my father see me not praying. Let me pray when he sees, because I know it's time to pray. They don't care about community. They don't care about their neighbors on the right, the left. They don't care about nobody but themselves. They don't even want to talk to their neighbors. So then this is teaching us that your ibadah has to be for Allah and sincerity for the community. Otherwise, you really ain't got no deen. What's the next surah? Al-Kawthar. And the connection to Kawthar, because Kawthar is one of the surahs that people do not respect. Because it's so small, they think it's nothing at all. But Al-Kawthar is tied directly to Surah Al-A'raf. And it's called the Surah of Mutaba'ah, was sincerity. Sincerity and Ittiba' al-Rasul. And it responds to Al-Ma'un. So in Al-Ma'un it says, Alladina, they make their salah, yura'un, to be seen, right? And what does Allah say in Surah Al-Kawthar? He says, Fasalli, sincerely for your Lord, right? So make your salah li rabbik wahdahu. Allah, one. One heart. What is one heart? Slaughter. What are you going to slaughter for? So you can feed those miskeen. You can take care of their needs. Get in the habit of slaughtering. So you have more enough meat. You can't even store it more. Let's go through the surah right quick, inshallah. The surah is very beautiful. It has 3 lines. It's considered the smallest surah in the Quran. But really there are 3 surahs that start to have 3 ayat in them. Surah Al-Asr, Surah Al-Nasr, and Surah Al-Kawthar. Okay? You guys get me? Now, inna, say inna, a'tainaka, al-Kawthar. Please pay attention. Inna is a very important word. Allah, whenever Allah says inna, the fact of the matter is that and he used the royal we. He's going to tell you about an action that only Allah does. A great, humongous action, as opposed to when he says ana. When he says ana, he's going to talk about what himself. Or inna. But inna is a, inna nazalna dhikr, right? You get the point? But inna lahafidhun, and we, and this is a broad we. So he says inna, I gave a'tayna. So a'tayna is different from atayna. Atayna in the Quran means we gave you a privilege. Allahumma malikul mulki yutil mulka man wa tanzi'ul mulka mimman tasha. You see that? He said he gave atayna. This is the word that you might think of. I'm thinking of. Ataynaka. You see, ataynaka is to give someone a privilege. And that privilege can be taken away. From the ayah I just showed you. Allah says, Allahumma, oh Allah, malikul mulk, the king and the owner of everything, the dominance. You give that mulk, that dominion to whoever you want, and you take it away from whoever you want. You get my point? But a'tayna is an atiyah. And atiyah, if you know your fiqh, atiyah is not taken back. لا يحل للمسلم أن يأخذ أن يرجع atiyah. It is not lawful for a believer when he gives an atiyah to take it back, except for one person. Who's that? The father. The father can take back anything he gives his child, or anything his child has that he didn't give to him. And the mother doesn't have that right. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, you and everything you own belongs to your father. Okay? You and everything you own. Anta wa kullu ma tamlik. Yani, li abik. Okay? And that's because a man came to the prophet, complained that his father was taking his money and not even using it because he needed it. He was giving it to other people and that he felt needed the money. And Jibril came and told the prophet something, and then when the guy's father came there, he told him, man, you and everything you own belongs to your father. Don't come in my face no more. Now, everything you got. So that's the only one that can take back something he gives someone else. Otherwise, Allah has described the one who takes back a gift as what? A dog whose vomits and eats his vomit. So Allah gives him an atiyah. So what do we learn from this? First thing we learn is that this is personal. This is personally and directly from Allah. Okay? And we know that half of a gift is not what the gift is, but who gave it. Right? Who gave that gift makes it precious. Allah saying, Inna is coming from me. Now it's an atiyah. That means there's no strings attached. It's yours and it's not going to be taken it back. Does everybody get that? And that's something that's lost in this. Al-Kawthar. What is Al-Kawthar? Kawthar is khayrul kathir. A lot of good. A great abundance of good. Some people say, yo, but what about all those hadith that say about it's a river in Jannah or a hawd on the day of resurrection? It is not limited to that, guys. Have you heard the legal language? It includes, but is not limited to. You get that? It includes, but is not limited to a river outside of Jannah and a river inside of Jannah. It's much more than that. Okay? And when Allah speaks about giving the prophet something, most cases it includes the believers for that. Does that make sense? Except in the cases where it's specifically for the prophet and not for us. So, Inna a'tainaka khayrun kathir. So what should we do? What should we do? Hasn't Allah given you great abundance of good? If you think about it, oh person. No, but hasn't in your life, haven't you? Just that you're alive.
Can't count.
You can't count. Fasalli fa. Fasalli li rabbika wanha. So then offer your salah solely for Allah. This is yuqabilu ma qalahu fi Surah Al-Ma'un. This goes to correct what happened in Surah Al-Ma'un. In Surah Al-Ma'un, he says, Alladhina hum an salatihim. They're lazy about their salah. Alladhina hum yura'un. They only offer salah to be seen. So Allah says, now make your salah sincerely for Allah. Fasalli li rabbik. To your Lord and your Lord alone. Alright? This is, make your deed ikhlas. This is what this is teaching us here. Ikhlas, sincerely for Allah. Tawheed lillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala. One heart and slaughter. And this slaughter, make sure you and make sure your service serve the people. See, that always stops for a few minutes. Serve the people. And feeding the people is just an expression of taking care of their needs. It's not limited to feeding them. Just like a salah is just an expression of the most apparent part of our ibadah. Right? So when you make your salah for your Lord, it means make your fasting for your Lord. Make everything for your Lord. When you talk about slaughtering for the people, it's take care of their needs. Give them clothes too. Not just the ones you want to throw out. House them, do what you can do. You know, for the people. So service to the people and sincerity to Allah, right? Isn't it we say that what we learned in Surah Al-Ma'un? That you have to divide your deen into those 2 points? Serving the people. If you're not, you kadhibu bid-deen. فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي يَدُعُ الْيَتِيمِ وَلَا يَحُضُّ عَلَى الطَّعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ. Well, we're told how to do it right here. Here's the solution. Get in the habit of slaughtering. Where is our soup kitchen, people? How long we been in this community? And we got to go out and get them and make it available to them and make them realize that, oh, we're not just going through the motions, that we're really doing this for you. Because as long as they feel that you're just going through the motions, they're going to go through the motions. All right, good, I'm good. But they're not good. And that comes from people know when you're genuine. Right? Your words are just one part of the communication. It's your face, your body language, all of that. And they can feel and hear that more than they can understand your language. And so Allah's telling us, if we don't do this, then we're just perpetrating a fraud faking like we got deen. We got clothes on, but that's all. It didn't go nothing skin deep. It's just external. And so this is something we have to think about. فَصَلِّ لِرَبِّكَ وَانْحَرْ. Next part, I said this surah came fi haqqi Rasulillah. When this surah came down when the Prophet ﷺ's son died, his child died, his son died in infancy. And so the kuffar of Quraysh started laughing at him, saying, Batara Muhammadun. Yeah. Instead of saying, yo man, astaghfirullah, man, son, child, leave him alone. They said, Batara Muhammad. They started thinking it was funny. Because they said when he dies, he ain't got no sons, his name is dead. He's gone. They're going to forget about him. His daughter's going to marry other people, their names, they're going to be, their name going to be, right? Abtara wa batara. And then they said mubtira. They said all those different words they said about the prophets, different ways of saying the same thing, that he's cut off. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches us something here. He says here, Inna shani'aka huwa labtar. Okay? So here, inna, the fact of the matter is, a shani. Do you know what a shani is? A shani is someone who opposes you. You say, man, that's a nice throat. Oh, no, that's an ugly throat. It was a rainy day. Nah, it was sunny. Really it's supposed to be like this. Nah, it ain't supposed to be like that. They always we call them a didda. In Mauritania, you say, didda, don't marry a didda. Okay, somebody always saying the opposite of what you got to say. Okay? Serious, this is just, so a shani is someone who opposes you. So he's saying, Allah's teaching us, whoever opposes you, Muhammad, he's going to be cut off. Al-abtar. Al-abtar means the one, and since it's left blank here, it means cut off from all good. Cut off from every way you can think of. You get it? Any good, all barakah, is cut off. All khair is cut off. And things are made clear by their opposite. So we're taught here, and that's why this surah is called the Surah Al-Mutaba'ah. The surah showing that you have to follow the Prophet. Because if you oppose the Prophet, you cut off. You get the point? So these are the things that we take away outside of the Tafseer. Okay? And that's why we tie this surah to Surah Al-A'raf, right? And you'll see in Surah Al-A'raf, the taker, we're going to go through every ayah in Surah Al-A'raf starting tomorrow, inshallah ta'ala. Surah Al-A'raf, and that's the surah we're going to stop on. It's the longest Meccan surah. It's a surah that tells you, mediocrity ain't acceptable. Ain't no middle ground. You can't be with this one that you either in it or you not. You in the way. You either for Allah proactively or you with shaitan. Period. And there ain't no, I'm trying to do like this, nah. And it goes really clear. Otherwise, you get to sit on the A'raf. And the A'raf is the high ground between Jannah and Nar. And you get to see everybody going into paradise or into the fire. And you get dealt with last. Why? Because you hesitated. Okay? Hesitated, and that hesitation kills. Half-steppers will be put with the kuffar. That's what it tells you in Surah Al-A'raf. Allah says He wants full 30-inch step. You don't want no half-step. Okay? So, and that's, I'm claiming that. I'm claiming that's what it is. And the challenge for you to hear the surah as we read it, and if I prove it or not. Does that make sense? All the stories in that surah go to state that. And this surah right here is showing too, because the Prophet's not mentioned in that particular surah. So he's mentioned here. You have to be with your Prophet. Okay? Surah Al-A'raf is the longest Meccan surah. It's the first surah to come with an ayah of sajda. It's the first surah to bring stories after stories after stories. We're going to go over stories of different prophets because they're mentioned there and their people. And then the story of As-Sabt, Ashab As-Sabt is mentioned there. The people who violated the Sabbath. Okay? And these are very important stories if you understand the theme. For example, in the story of As-Sabt, there's three peoples, right? There's people who went and fished. First, Allah told the Jews not to fish on the Sabbath, right? Everybody follow me? Right. So what did some people do? They threw their nets out there and pretended like they wasn't fishing. But they were fishing, right? And then they took those fish in And then the Jews did three things. Some Jews said, that's haram. Not only is haram, you can't sell that, we ain't buying it, and we ain't eating it. That's one group. Another group, they did it. They bought it and sold it and said, whatever, we doing this. And the third group,
Come and take it on Sunday.
and the third group didn't say nothing. Well, we ain't say to do it, we ain't, but they ate it. And guess what happened when Allah came to destroy them? Who did he destroy? Nah, he didn't destroy the group that stood up and said, never that. We ain't going to eat it, and it's haram. They're the only ones that survived. So what's the lesson? What's the lesson?
You gotta be all the way.
All the way or no way. You get my point? Either you with and proactively following the sunnah. Like this little passive, and we see this a lot nowadays with the Muslims in the West. Trying to be Muslim and trying to be a Western. Nah, you can't play games with the deen. You can't please both sides. We don't want you. And Allah don't need you. He only wants people who are 100%. Inna Allah tayyib wa la yaqbalu illa tayyib. Okay? You give it all, or He gives you back whatever you gave. Come back when you're ready to give your own. They used to tell us when we were memorizing the Quran back in the days, they would say, the Quran is the type of science that it won't give you anything of itself until you give it all of yourself. And that's the deen. Okay?
Get out what you put in.
No, because you're gonna get out more than what you put in Islam. But
you gotta put all of it in.
But in order to get the reward, the true reward, you gotta put everything in. You gotta be all the way in. And that's what Surah Al-A'raf is saying. And then when we go through each one of the stories in Surah Al-A'raf, you see it's going to point to what happened to the people who were with their prophets and those who opposed their prophets. And so that puts this ayah in perspective for us to remember. The short surahs are for us to remember the larger message in those other surahs. You get my point? It's a short reminder pointing to the larger surah that gave it in long. We call it itnab wajiz. Okay? Not ikhtisar, wajiz. There's a difference between ikhtisar and wajiz for all the tulab al-ilm. And ikhtisar is a summary. Okay? We shortened everything and everything like that. But a wajiz is everything that's necessary with just less words. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It says a little, but it means a lot.
Terse is the English word. In the English language, it's called terse. Terse word. You say a word is terse, but it has a lot of meaning. Okay? So in ikhtisar, things are missing because it's a summary. But in wajiz, nothing is missing. It's just that you got to get your language up. You got to understand the words. So like he says here, inna shani'aka, anyone, the fact of the matter is, anyone who opposes you, O Messenger of Allah, he's going to get cut off. You have to follow the sunnah. You have to, this surah teaches us, this short, small surah teaches us amazing things. Number one, that we reflect Allah has given us a lot of good. The greatest thing we can say is He gave us Islam. Right? He allowed us to be Muslim when most of the people are not Muslim. Okay? Number two, that's in the first ayah. Inna a'tainaka al-kawthar. And He allows us to go to Kawthar. If you're a believer, you get to go to Kawthar. Right? You get to drink from Kawthar. There, it has cups all around, as many as the stars. The only ones that are not going to be allowed are the perpetrators of a fraud. When the angels come, people on Kawthar get to drink it, and you drink it one time, you'll never get thirsty again. How important is that on Yom Al-Qiyamah when the sun is right on our head? And the people are sweating and drowning in their sweat. Very. But then there's a story, it shows that when the people try to drink from Al-Kawthar, what happens? And angels swoop down and snatch them up and drag them away. And the Prophet says, Ummah, he's from my Ummah. He says, now you don't know what they did after you. Sahtan. Prophet curses them after they get pulled away. Snatched up and taken to the fire. Because they're not allowed to drink from Kawthar. So the believers are allowed to even drink from the river. May Allah allow us to drink from the Kawthar. Second ayah. فَصَلِّ لِرَبِّكَ وَانْحَرْ. Salah is a sign of shukr. That's what we learn. What did the Prophet ﷺ? He prayed until his feet were swollen, right? And his wife said, Ya Rasulullah, why are you doing this to yourself? Don't you know Allah has forgiven you your sins? What you did before and whatever you might do in the future? And he said, should not be a abdan, shakuran. Should not be a grateful slave. So we see that his gratitude was shown through his salah. So for salli, so be grateful to Allah and salli for Allah and for Allah alone. Not to yura'un. For Allah to see you. That's what we call ihsan. أن تعبد الله كأنك تراه إن لم تكن تراه فإنك تعلم أنه يراك. So you know that Allah sees you. Show off to Allah. That's all. Just change the idea. I'm showing up for Allah because I know Allah sees me. I know the angels are writing it down. And then do your thing. You can show off. It's just who you're showing off to. Forget the humans. And show off to Allah. That'll frustrate shaitan. Okay, because you can always show out that. And you know what? Allah is Alimul Khabir. He knows everything and he's aware. So you get every credit for every little extra meticulous thing you do. You get my point? Where people's eyes are not that good. They miss it. They can't give you nothing anyway. They can't pay you no way anyway. فَصَلِّ لِرَبِّكَ وَانْحَرْ. Break your deen down into two things. Serve the people. And this is where we are lacking. We need to accept where we're at. We are not serving the people. We don't have a good street name like the Prophet ﷺ had before he came to Islam. He was trusted and loved. And people expected good from him. Before we're Muslim, they should expect it from us. They should know. And we should have some class about ourselves and not treat people like they stink, even if they do. They shouldn't feel a ways, and we shouldn't make them feel a ways. كَذَلِكَ كُنْتُم مِّن قَبْلُ فَمَنَّ اللَّهُ عَلَيْكُمْ فَتَبَيَّنُوا. Allah says it used to be just like that. And then Allah, مَنَّ اللَّهُ عَلَيْكُمْ. Allah blessed you. Blessed you. I said blessed you.
That's double portion.
I've been in North Carolina too long.
Bless you.
I'm teasing. I'm not gonna, I know North Carolina. Oh man, don't throw the shoes, man. Blessed you.
No.
فَتَبَيَّنُوا. Just make it plain, man. This is the surah. Inna shaniyaka huwa al-abtar. We have to be committed to the Prophet ﷺ. There's no gray area. You know, how many times have we seen? If we just look at what happened to the Germans with the Jews, all those people who thought they was going to be halfway, they eventually got picked up, right? And taken to the concentration camps. You know, either all the way down or you're not down. Okay? سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.